Hi, this is Mrs. Camp here, and today I'm going to teach you the basics of sentence diagramming. So when we diagram a sentence, we always start with the subject, or who or what the sentence is about, and then the verb, which is what the subject, the action or feeling the subject is doing. So when we diagram, the subject goes on the left of a vertical line and the verb goes on the right. So when you diagram, it looks something like this example right here. If we had the sentence kids play, kids is our subject, play is our verb. So our subject goes on the left and the verb goes on the right. So all you do when you have a sentence to diagram is draw a horizontal line first and then a vertical line going in the middle. That's all you really start off with. And then your subject goes on the left, and your verb or verb phrase, and I'm going to just abbreviate that VP. So if you want to write that in your notes so you know what that abbreviation means, verb phrase. That just means any part of my verb will stay on that line. So that's all we're going to focus on today. Now you have helping verb sheets to help you out and linking verb sheets as well. So if you're struggling kind of finding those extra words, those extra helping verbs or extra linking verbs, that's what those sheets are there to help you with. And you can always use those on a quiz or a test. For my 8th graders, they would be blue, and for my 7th graders, or I'm sorry, for my 8th graders, they would be green, and for my 7th graders, they would be blue. So if we take a look at some sentences that have those extra helping verbs or those extra linking verbs, that just means we keep them all together. It's part of your verb phrase. So if we have kids are playing, well, kids is still our subject. Are playing is our entire verb phrase, so it needs to stay together. We're not diagramming anything below here or doing anything like that. We're keeping it really simple. So again, if you are struggling with helping verbs or linking verbs, make sure you look to your sheets to help you out. This sheet does give us a good overview of some common helping verbs such as are, do, were, will be, have been, had, and had been. They're also called auxiliary verbs sometimes, but just to keep it simple, we'll just call them helping verbs because they're helping out the verb. They give us a little bit more information about the verb. So if we look at some examples to diagram, let's just look at the first 6. So these should be fairly easy because all we're doing is finding your subject and your verb. So in the sentence, ducks waddle, we have ducks as the subject and waddle is the verb. So when we diagram this, all we have to do is draw a horizontal line first with a vertical line in the middle. The subject goes on the left and the verb goes on the right. And that's all we have to do. So for the next one, rain is falling. Well, is part of our verb phrase. This whole entire thing right here, is falling, is our verb phrase. And then rain is our subject. So when we diagram this, we have rain as our subject. Is falling is the verb phrase. So it stays together. These ones are really easy to find subject and verbs because there's only going to be 3 or 4 words in the sentence. When we progress in diagramming, I'll give you more tips on how to find the subject if you're struggling with that, or where verbs can be placed in the sentence. As a good rule of thumb, and this is something that you might want to write down in your notes, the subject will come before the verb. Now, this is not always the case, but it is a good rule of thumb to just go by, that your subject is going to come before your verb. There are special circumstances, but we'll get to that later. Someone called. Well, what's the action of the sentence? The action would be called, so that's going to be your verb. Who is doing the calling? Well, that would be someone, so someone is your subject. So we diagram this. We have someone on the left and called on the right. We will be listening. Well, who is this whole sentence about? It's about we. What are we doing? We will be listening. This whole entire thing is your verb phrase. So when you diagram this, you have we as your subject on the left, will be listening on the right. Number 5, Isabel has been working. Well, who is this sentence about? The sentence is about Isabel, so therefore Isabel is our subject. What is Isabel doing? Well, she has been working. This whole entire thing is our verb phrase. So when we diagram this, we have Isabel on the left, has been working on the right. Last one, Brian must have walked. Well, who is this whole entire sentence about? It's about Brian. What is Brian doing? He must have walked. So when we diagram this, we have Brian on the left. Oops. And then must have walked on the right. And that's the basics of sentence diagramming. So now what I would like you to do is try 7 through 12 on your own. And the one thing we want to stay away from is don't just diagram like this. Okay, because when we get more complicated, that will not cut it. I will not accept this on a test or a quiz. So make sure you're actually writing to the side your actual diagram with the horizontal and vertical line. So if you have any other questions, make sure that you're asking, and make sure that you are following along on your blue and green grammar sheets to help you out.